Good morning, folks. Brother Jim Beckwith reporting here. We are going to report a little bit about the news today, war news, from something that is highly censored by many leftist devils in the world. The war economy. Russia bucks sanctions from the West, gets upgraded by World Bank to high-income country. You got to hear this one. Almost 2.5 years ago, the Russian Federation forces launched the special military operation in Ukraine, turning President Vladimir Putin's country into an impoverished pariah for the Western world. Or did it? Despite the mind-numbing number of sanctions levied against Russia and its allies, their economy has been consistently growing. To the point where the World Bank is now classifying Russia as a high-income country. On Monday, from Business Insider reporting, the World Bank announced it has upgraded Russia from an upper-middle-income country to a high-income country, according to a report from the financial institution's economists. Economic activity in Russia was influenced by a large increase in military-related activity in 2023, World Bank economists wrote in the report. In 2023, Russians earned a $14,250 per person on a gross national income basis. Russia's recent growth is primarily driven by a wartime demand for military goods and services, and that is a US dollar amount converted from rubles. Russia's recent growth is primarily driven by wartime demand for military goods and services, and Russia's trade jumped by nearly 7% last year, while activities in the financial sector and construction grew by 6.6% and 3.6% respectively. This boosted Russia's real GDP, gross domestic product, which is economic growth adjusted for inflation, by 3.6%. Meanwhile, the U.S. was going downhill the other way around. But wait a minute, I thought Biden was fixing the situation by putting heavy sanctions on Russia. But Proverbs 8:14 through 16 and Daniel 2:21 both say, the God of all the earth who created all things is the one who sets up all the kings and the council of the whole earth. Far from crippling Russia, the war in Ukraine may have strengthened Russia's economy and led to an increase in both real and nominal GDP. From Newsweek, that other leftist publication, its news classification would put Russia on par with the U.S. and the other G7 nations who have been trying to, handicap its economy since 2022. As we can see, the U.S. and EU sanctions flopped. Stay tuned for my commentary on this one. Last week, a report by the UK think tank argued that the country has been more than able to replenish its arsenal and that sanctions had proven manifestly ineffective in curtailing the Russian war machine. One of the paper's authors, Gary Somerville, told Newsweek that defense contractors were able to bypass embargoes using front companies and back channels to sneak military components into Russia. Data from the World Bank is evidence that Russia is able to endure Western sanctions, and the war only strengthens the country's economic capabilities. Okay, so that's it. So here's the thing. If God sets up all the kings and the council of the world, ponder why you think he does it. And what are his reasons when he sets up a king that's good or sets up a king that's evil? Hence, Donald Trump, good. Joe Biden, corrupt to the bone, right? So Joe Biden, who's corrupt to the bone, is sanctioning Russia and giving all billions and billions of dollars to the Nazi in in Ukraine that were persecuting and slaughtering Russians in Ukraine. Just like in World War II, when they were slaughtering many different countries, many different races, but primarily the Jews, huh? Yes, plenty of Nazis in Zelensky's army. Okay, so, but many people have died, and many Ukrainian men have died being forced to fight for Zelensky. Hence, that's why it's the most evacuated country in the world today in the past 2 years. No country has lost so many people trying to run from the draft of Zelensky's Reich, or Nazism, to kill people that they just don't like. Yes, I know this has a lot to do with World War II and the aggression and the vengeance of what Russia had and Nazism was going on at the time, and it's very confusing. But it's beside the point. The point here right now is what is going on is Putin, and who's loved by the Russians, is against the New World Order. His people are not half as oppressed. His people are not half as evil. Yes, there's plenty of evil people in Russia. There's evil people of all nations, right? All kindreds. But the point here is that they won't allow half the evil that goes into that country. Putin will not allow it. That's why they've been trying to overthrow Russia with this false flag war. That Biden is getting all the Democrats, and the deep state is getting all the Democrats, who actually is Obama is your president. You know that. I don't need to tell you that, do I? So he's getting. So God is protecting his people, isn't he? He's protecting the righteous. You see, it's not anymore so much about believing in Jesus Christ. The main concern with God is that people need to be born again, conformed to the image of Jesus Christ. That's not something you see. That's a spiritual term. It means to be conformed to God who is righteous. To repent, to be sanctified. And the only way you're going to do that is to fear the Lord, as I taught so many times. To fear the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. The beginning of wisdom is to sanctify yourselves. And when you stop sinning, God starts to bless the land again. 2 Chronicles 7:14. Hosea chapter 4 proves all that. So, when are we going to start learning to fear the Lord, who sets up all the kings and the council and the judges of the whole earth? All you got to do is obey and share the gospel. So, the point here is God protecting his people. He has sovereign reign over the world. That doesn't mean he is the king of the earth, or the king of kings and lord of lords. That's when he comes back in Revelation 19 and destroys all the 10 nations and the 10 kings of the world, as Daniel the prophet and Revelation speaks of. No. He's not the King of Kings and Lord of Lords right now. He shall be. He's going to reign for 1,000 years, and we shall be coming back with him, riding in on white horses, Revelation 19, and shall be kings and priests underneath the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Revelation 1:6, Revelation 5:10, Revelation 20 verse 3, I believe, and Revelation 20 verse 5, I believe. I'm not quite sure on those verse IDs, but it's 4 times in the book of Revelation that we shall be kings and priests under his millennial rule. But after that, we're no longer going to be under his rule, because there will be no wicked in the 8th millennium. Right now we're finishing up with the 6th millennium. And about ready to enter the time of Jacob's trouble, which starts on the day of the rapture. Be found worthy to be called up. Come up hither. Revelation 4:1. Revelation to the 2 witnesses. Revelation 11, I believe it's 12. It's in chapter 11, though. To the 2 witnesses. He uses the same exact words. Come up hither. And they ascended up into the clouds to meet the Lord in the air. And so shall we ever be with him. 1 Thessalonians 4:18. Thank you for listening, and have a good day.